Hey. Hey guys. May I know who is here with us today? We will be doing big time. Will be quite exciting with big time, especially with the recent sales. Hi Tatman. Did you participate in the big time sale? The one that just happened? Hey Wan, nice to have you. Did you participate in the big time sale? Did any of you here try to participate in the big time sale? Just so that I know. No one? None of you did? Just let me get stuff up for you guys. Okay. Oh, one, you didn't. Okay. I just wanted to do something with you guys while we just waited for a couple of more people to come on. The last time round, I wanted to share a little bit about the Discord server that we got going. So for those of you who are not yet in our Discord server and you are tuning in to this, then I just want I just want to encourage you guys to stay a little bit more active in our Discord server. As you can see, we have the crypto projects and the NFT categories that has been set up, right? So it has been set up in a way whereby it's easy for you guys to go specifically to the content or the specific project that you guys are interested in, and we can keep that discussion going in the respective channels. So, for example, the recent one that many of us were discussing on was on Interleaf. So what I'll do is, because I'm doing so much research on these projects already, I thought I might as well share it with you guys, right? So that you guys don't miss out, and you guys can drop in any other things that I have missed out, just as so that the entire community can benefit from it. I think that's the key part here. So Interleaf is one of them. I think we also spoke about Treeverse. I'll give you guys regular updates here, and if there's anything that you guys want us to have a look, just go down to the community tab, right? And then there is request project or NFTs, and I think Nelvin has been really active here, so really appreciate it, because he has brought our attention to quite a couple of things that we might have missed out, right? Like I think he mentioned about Aurori, on Solana, and then he also spoke about D-Race and stuff like that, right? Just so that all of us are updated. Maya Launchpad was something we spoke about. So Sam has done a really great job here just to keep us updated. Polkadot crowd loan, I think this is things that we have spoken about too. So I will continue to update this. And I'll definitely be adding in big time once we're done with this stream as well. Okay, so I just want to encourage you guys to stay active there. And once again, thanks, Ben, for all one. Thanks for always staying active in the Discord server as well, especially in the Oasis network group. Yeah. Okay, I'm just before I move on, just gonna check in with you guys about the all with the audio. Is it okay? Is it too loud, too soft? Can you hear the echo? I heard Sui saying that there's an echo that she hears. Is it okay? Just let me know. Is the sound okay? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me loud and clear? Sui, can you just let me know if all is well before I officially start the stream? Exciting agenda on big time today, so I just want to make sure I give you guys. Okay, it's clear, yeah. All right. Hi, Jintel. Is that your name? Oh, okay, cool. I think Sui might be with you then. If that's the case. Okay, just let me start the recording and then we can get this started. Yeah, about 10 of you, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna start the recording and let's go. All right, awesome guys. So thanks for joining in for today's session. Last week we had Sam. She was doing Dragon Card, right? And as we know, there's so many exciting games that are up and coming. She's really the expert in the play to earn realm. I think she has been trying quite a couple of games and she will bring more of those to you guys. But today I'll be reviewing this project big time, and I think we all know it's huge, right? And with the recent sale, with the space, which went live a couple of days ago, the experience for me wasn't the best, but we still can't deny that big time is a project that we all should be looking into, and I thought that this will be a good time for us to get started. We promise we'll work a little bit better on the timing, in the sense whereby we thought we should have been doing this before the sale went, but we totally missed it, right? So we will keep that in mind, just so that we will give you such content so that you can take it and decide and plan on your next actions before the sale comes live. But like I said, I think we're still early at this point in time for big time, and we really need to have a look at this and to keep this on our radar for a long time. And as I earlier mentioned, I will go on and I'll create a channel in our Discord server, just so that we can remain updated there and we can continue to keep one another updated and to hopefully profit from this, yeah? So again, as always, there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to be covering today. So the rundown of it is this, okay? So I'll just briefly go through what is big time, just so that we know what the game is about. And then I'll also go through what it means to be able to collect NFTs within the game, right? Or rather, the collectability of NFTs in big time, which is a big selling factor, or is a huge pull factor for me to want to be involved in this game, and I'll explain that a little bit more. Then, as always, I'll go through the founder, the team, the investors. Always a big part of whether I invest in something or not. Then we'll discuss the components of the games. I think we have recently seen it. We have seen Space that has gone on sale, but there are so many other aspects to this game that we need to know about before we decide whether we want to play or invest in it or not. And then lastly, I will share a little bit about the game economies. Okay, so this game is quite intricate in a sense whereby there are quite a few things that has been quite well thought of. It may seem a little bit complicated at first, but as I explain it, you should come to realize that it's all in the name of trying to make these games self-sustainable, and in a sense to ensure that people who are involved in this game will continue to be able to earn their rewards with time. Okay, and I'll share that a little bit more. Okay, so the first thing that we would want to discuss, right, is essentially what is big time, right? And so there are a couple of things here that I wanted to share with you guys, okay? And big time is essentially a cooperative role-playing game that combines fast action combat, the collectability of NFTs, and a history-spanning adventure to create a new gaming experience, right? So the few key words here is cooperative role-playing game, fast action combat, and the collectability of NFTs. That is quite a key one to me, and I'll go into detail again. So cooperative role-playing games, I think some of the examples I've shared, right? Like World of Warcraft, fast action combat, that is like the perfect example of what a cooperative RPG and a fast action combat is. And what does it exactly mean by history-spanning adventure? So your mission here is to uncover a mysterious threat that's tearing down the very walls of time itself, right? So you kind of know that that's why it's called big time, or that's when I realized why this game is called big time, because that's like the theme of the game. It's a role-playing game whereby you kind of go you are trying to solve, or you're trying to uncover a threat that is trying to destroy time, something of that sort. And they use that theme very well, because along the way, the game is going to allow you to encounter some of history's most famous and infamous figures along the way. So as you can see here, so I think if you do a little bit more research, I think they have characters like Einstein, right? So if you're someone who is big in history as well, then this game is going to be for you, right? Because that's the theme. And so like I said, right, just referencing Alex Becker again, this, in his opinion, is crypto's World of Warcraft. And that to me is huge, because if you have tuned in to me when I was speaking about Treeverse, I referenced World of Warcraft quite a bit. And as I was speaking with DeFi SG in our previous show as well, I used to tell them, and I say to many people, that World of Warcraft was kind of like the game that I started with. And it's really nice to see that influencers are referencing big time as crypto's World of Warcraft. And that to me is huge. And it's as though as it's not a bold enough statement to put big time right up there with World of Warcraft, because we kind of know how big World of Warcraft is, right? But Becker also believes that this is going to be the first big adoption of crypto gaming. So that to me is like two bold statements in one statement, and that's huge. And I think that's why we need to be looking at why this RPG fast action combat game is going to make a difference in this space. So the key thing that I'm going to dive right into here, right, is going to be the collectability of NFTs, right? Because I mean, role-playing games, I mean, this is something that is not new. I think we have for a long time seen games that are being played that are role-playing games, even before these play-to-earn games have come about. But alluding to some of the points that I've made with Treeverse during my stream with Treeverse, right? One of the big things that we spoke about was the collectability of NFTs, or in other words, as stated here, and as I've stated in the Treeverse stream before as well, is that finally gamers are going to be able to own their in-game assets. So in other words, in short, that's what collectability of NFTs mean. You are able to own these NFTs as in-game assets. And I was very lucky to get the opportunity to speak to a professional Call of Duty gamer. He spent 14 hours a day gaming. So can you imagine now with play to earn how much rewards that would firstly allow a professional gamer or a gamer like you and me, an everyday gamer, to earn from play to earn now, especially if you've been spending up to 14 hours a day gaming. So once again, this collectability of NFTs, it really reiterates why blockchain-based gaming is going to allow bridging games to real life. So in my last stream, remember I spoke about how I used to love playing games, but I stopped at some point in time, right? Because I just couldn't relate, or I couldn't resonate how does playing all these games really help me in real life. Like, it's not a good use of my time. But with this play to earn that is coming out, being able to collect and own these NFTs in games are now being made available. This really bridges games to real life, and it's going to allow the adoption of crypto by the masses through games, right? And as I said, I think the pro gamers is a new pool of customers, or a new pool of people who are really excited by this prospect, because they are being able to own their personalized in-game assets. Like this guy that I spoke to, right? Because he's such a pro gamer, he had branded skins on his guns. He had branded clothes that had his handle on the clothes, right? But all these things still belong to the people who created the game. But for now, because of the collectability of NFTs, these pro gamers, for a start, will be able to own these assets, right? The skins, their clothing, essentially their identity in that metaverse, and they can make profits out of this swag, or like merchandise that they have, which is branded by their in-game identity. So this really makes us realize quite a lot about this future that games or play to earn, or the utility of NFTs can really bring to the table in this space. And as you guys know, Lupify is someone that I follow so much, because he's really like a library of info right there. So if you guys are not following him on Twitter yet, you guys should. Simply because he's so active, and every day I'm learning something new from him. And this was a little bit of a prophecy, right? In 2020, or towards the end of 2020, at this time of the year, he sort of speculated, or he prophesied, we can say that now, that 2021 was going to be the year of NFTs. And yes, I guess it kind of came on a little bit later on in the year to see the NFTs boom, but I guess we could really call it as 2021 as the year of the NFTs. And he is making another statement, or another speculation, or a prophecy here, if you like, that 2022 is still going to be the year of NFTs, but it's also going to be the year of the blockchain gaming sector, right? So this is in line with numerous influencers, if you are well versed in this space, and he was right in 2021, right? So let's see next year at this time if this is really something that's going to happen. So with that being said, I think we have also spoke a little bit about why we think, like why the Titan Squad thinks that blockchain gaming sector is going to be a sector that is going to be for the masses, the adoption of the masses, and also why it's going to be the future, right? So if you missed that out, just go onto our YouTube channel. We covered it as part of our stream with the Treeverse. And if you already watched the Treeverse bit, just know that we have timestamps here, right? So just right here, you can see why blockchain gaming is the future, and you just need to click that. And essentially, you will get right to the spot where I start to speak about why we think that blockchain-based gaming is going to be the future. And let us know your thoughts as well, right? And if you are a little bit, if you have a short attention span and you don't want to go through the entire video, then what we are also trying to do for you is we have created highlights for it, right? So If you are not on our Twitter yet, I think you should follow us there. I think in the past 1 to 2 weeks, we are also trying to ramp up the content there. And we have created highlights for you guys. So these are very short 40-second videos about the different reasons why we think that blockchain-based gaming is going to be the future. And this is reason 1 of 4, right? So the market size and potential is the first one. So if you have a shorter attention span and you just want to watch things in bite size, Twitter is going to be the spot for you. So do follow us there on Twitter, and also please do subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not yet. I think this is something that I say on every stream, that we are heading towards 1,000 subscribers. We are growing week after week. We are at 210 subs now. We are just 790 subscribers away from that 1,000. So if you are here and you haven't subscribed yet, please give us a like and hit that subscribe button so that we can do more for you guys, okay? So that's basically it about the collectability of NFTs and what it means. And I'll go through the founders, okay? So the founders, the team, and the investors for big time, okay? So I think this should not be new to you guys, but whenever I look at a project, the founders matter a lot to me, who the team are and who have invested in them, simply because I think that speaks a lot about the potential of a project. So yeah, it's something that I look out for. And I think looking at this article, we know that Big Time's CEO is Ari Malik, and he is the co-founder for Decentraland, right? So immediately we kind of know that, okay, that's quite a big name. But what's more important to me is that he has that relevant experience, right? He organized Nifty, which is the first blockchain gaming and NFT conference, where he gained first-hand experience of the sort of complications that the users run into when they are in this space. And that to me means quite a lot, because it just shows that by doing this, he understood the market very well, and what he's doing with it makes a lot of sense. So because he understood the pain that a lot of people have gone through, he is now trying to build that tech that gives regular players who know nothing about crypto access to blockchain-based virtual goods, which is like your NFTs, through things like hosted wallets. So you don't have to require to set up a MetaMask for you to start playing these games, right? And to someone who knows nothing about crypto, sometimes we take these things for granted and we think it's easy to get it set up, right? But to be honest, I know of many people who find it quite a hassle to get that going. And to take that away, because you understand what the market needs and what the market hates, is a huge step, right? And the next thing that he is also looking to do is to be able to take some aspects of the project off-chain, which basically just means it allows you to save gas, right? So these two reasons already, I think it just goes to show, or it just shows how much it's going to be able to support adoption, right? And that, to me, is a very sound founder, right? He is someone who definitely has that experience and has a track record of making things happen. And then the next thing that I just want to look on is also his team, right? So he's joined by a couple of people who are also very relevant to this space. So I think Thor Alexander is someone who is someone whom he used to work with in Decentraland. But this part here, whereby the other founding teams are key players, right, from games such as World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, and League of Legends as well. So as the saying goes, you know, it takes one to know one, right? And by having so many of these key players in this space who are able to advise them with that wealth of experience that they have, and as gamers, they kind of know that what is important for a game to be fun and for a game to succeed. I think this team is definitely set up for success. And again, I think in previous shows, I already mentioned as well, for gamers, they are just going to game, right? They don't care how much the token is going to cost. They don't care if the crypto market is in a bear or in a bull run. All they want to know is that the game is fun and they can keep playing this game day after day after day or hours after hours for 16 hours a day, right? And if they can do that, then adoption is going to come and we know that this game is going to be a success. And I think with that experience these key players from the respective games bring, I think it's quite straightforward in that sense. Okay, is there any questions? If there are any questions, guys, just put them into the chat and I will get to them. Okay, and just let me know if this info is useful to you guys or if you guys already kind of know these things that I'm sharing. But for me, well, I always knew that big time was kind of like a huge thing, right? But I never really had time to look into it. But I think the recent space thing just hyped things up so much that I decided that I had to have a look at it. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, because the next thing that I'm going to get into is going to be where it gets a little bit more, well, I wouldn't say complicated, but when it will start to get a little bit more interesting, because like I mentioned, right, there are so many intricacies of this game. There's so many components of the game, okay? And I'm going to start off here right at this page where it shows you the couple of aspects that is going to be available in this game, okay? And the first one that you're going to see here is called the timelines, right? And to me, the timelines are basically just characters in the game that you can role play as, right? That's why it's called a role-playing game. But the interesting thing here is that it's going to allow you to level up the same character in multiple class paths and switch to the desired class on the fly. So this appears to suggest that there's going to be quite a lot of flexibility, right? In other games like World of Warcraft, if you choose to be a warrior, for that character alone, you're going to have to stay a warrior forever and ever, right? But it appears like for this one, you may start off as a time warrior and you can level up on that character. But if it ever comes a day whereby your team needs you to stand in as a quantum fixer, for example, you will be able to switch things up on the fly and play that class, just so that you have a complete team or a balanced team for you to be able to go ahead and complete a certain quest, for example. Right, so that's quite cool. So that's the first thing. That's the timeless, and then of course with the timeless, you're always gonna be requiring weapons, right? So I think this is quite straightforward. Everybody have a different favorite weapon just because of the way that you like to play or the aesthetics of it, right? For that matter. So you can see there's the battle axe, the dual blades, the two-handed great sword and shield, quantum staff, and the war hammer, right? So there's already six choices here, and that's quite interesting. Okay, and then the third thing that we want to be looking at is time machine, right? So we know that there's another third component of the game called the time machine. And what exactly it is, right? So the time machine is just, it's also known as the personal pocket metaverse, or PPM for short, right? But what it just means to me at this point is it's kind of like your home, whereby it's akin to the founder's plot in Treeverse. I think we've seen a little bit of that. It's a space whereby you can call your own, your home, you can hang out with your friends, you can showcase your NFTs just like you could in Treeverse with your timeless in your home. And you can also showcase your loot here for big time, right? And it's important to note that you will only get one, or you will only be able to be, so you will only be able to get a time machine after you reach a certain level in-game. Okay, and then the next big and exciting thing that we know that just recently became available was the space NFTs, right? And there was so much talk that was going along here because people just didn't understand the rarity and the utility of it. when the sale happened, they didn't really know what was the best one to buy, or how, or what the implications of what they bought will be on their game, right? So this is when we need to dive in a little bit to understand what space actually is. And to simplify things for you guys, space is simply a virtual land, right? So you have your time machine, which is kind of like your home, and you have space, which is the virtual land. So it is an expansion to your time machine. Okay, so here it basically makes your home a little bit bigger, and it comes in 5 different rarity tiers, as with most NFTs. There's rare, epic, legendary, mythic, and exalted, and there are 3 different sizes as well. So you have small, medium, and large, right? So the key utility here is that the larger the space, the more capacity there is to install more features, okay? So what features are we speaking about, right? So these are things like timekeepers and forgers, okay? So that brings me to the last 2 components of the game that we need to understand as well, right? So what exactly is a timekeeper? So timekeepers are summoned into your space, right? Which is your virtual land, and they can be purchased in-game or through the marketplace. So to my understanding at this point, timekeepers are not yet available, like they have not been put on sale, but I don't think they will be put on sale just like how space has happened. But I think it's just going to be something that you need to spend for in the game to get a timekeeper to get into your house, so that you can exercise its utility, right? So its utility is to create an hourglass NFTs or to fill them back up, right? So the next question then will be, what's the hourglass for, right? And the hourglass is extremely important because the hourglasses are needed to unlock the ability to collect your big time tokens, which is essentially your rewards for playing the game. And this is the only way to do it, because there will not be any pre-sales, or even the development team will not get any token grants. So they are really keeping the supply very tight, and the only way for you to get access to the tokens is if you have a space that allows you to summon a timekeeper that can create the hourglass and fill them up when it's empty, so that you have the ability to collect the big time tokens, which is available nowhere else, right? So I kind of just link them all up for you in terms of the different, or a couple of the different components of the game that you will need to make that happen. And the last one is forgers, right? So this is kind of something quite unique to do this game, whereby the forgers allow you to install them on your space, and it can be used to upgrade an NFT equipment to new levels, right? So for most of the NFTs that we have seen so far, it's like if you get a rare, it's a rare, for example, right? But this option, or this utility of the forgers, now allows you to sort of upgrade them, so that at some point maybe your common weapon or your common NFT will be able to get up one level in terms of rarity, and you can keep improving on them with this component of the game, or with forgers. Okay, so the key thing here that I noted too was that there are going to be many new features that will be introduced to space in the future, with new and exciting abilities, right? So then immediately the question that popped up in my head is then, is it time to acquire more spaces, right? And if you don't get that, then that's exactly the next thing that I'm going to be discussing here, which is the game economies, right? So the way I look at it is that there are 2 different game economies. So I broke them up into one. The first one is the space economy. Okay, so space as in the space that we just discussed, okay? So if you look at some of these pictures here, right? Okay, for sake, let's look at Exalted, right? The Exalted space NFT, even the small one, gives you a total of 8 space sockets, right? So for you to be able to utilize the forges and the timekeepers, it shows you here already, whereby if you want a timekeeper in your space, then you will have to use 2 space sockets to enable them to work for you. And if you want a forge as well, then that's going to cost you 3 space sockets. So if you own an Exalted small, then you would have 5 out of the 8 space sockets filled, right? And as I said, there's going to be more that's going to come, and we don't know what other utilities that's going to be. And obviously, the more and more exciting features that are going to be added on, more and more people are going to want that space, right? And land or this space is going to become more and more sought after. The demand is going to go higher and higher, and the supply is as such, right? It's fixed, at least for this point in time. And that's when space is going to get more and more expensive. So the question is it time to acquire a little bit more space just to keep in view of what's to come in future? But at this point in time, I guess it makes sense to have at least 5 slots. So if you look at the Mythic Small, or if you have a look at the Space Medium, the Legendary Medium, that will also give you 5 slots, right? So these are things that we would definitely have to consider. So and of course, you can buy more than one of these space, okay, which means you can buy, let's say, epic small and a legendary small, right? But the thing to note here is that the 2 spaces are not going to merge, right? So what it means is that it's not going to become 1 space of 7 space sockets, but you're still just going to have 2, and they're going to be able to connect with one another. And in that case, you will still have a total of 7 space sockets, right? Because I think there were some questions in the Discord that was asking what happens if you were to buy more than 1 space, right? Because there were some people who thought that they were going to be able to merge them. Okay, so that's not going to happen. It's going to be sort of connected. So you're still going to have 2, but the number of space sockets is going to be added up. Okay, any questions about the space, just let us know, okay? Or just let me know. That's why, guys, I think space was such a hot thing that everybody was looking out for. Because essentially, if you so let's say if you only have a rare space, a rare small, you're only going to have 2 slots, right? And yeah, you will probably have a timekeeper, but then you will not have a forge, right? So then it limits you in terms of what you can do in that game. Yeah, so that's for us to note, okay? And the other thing, okay, so that's the space economy. I think that's an economy in itself, right? We need to understand how it works so that we know and we can plan for what we want to do, right? These games, I think it requires a little bit of planning to ensure that you become successful, basically. And the next one is the game economy itself, right? So I'm going to go clockwise, starting from acquire space, okay, to expand your personal pocket metaverse or your time machine, right? So how it basically works is this. You need to acquire your space, right? Because if you don't have a space, you essentially cannot earn any in-game rewards at all, right? Because you need your space so that you can unlock a timekeeper to reside on your space, right? So we know that requires 2 space sockets, which then means you definitely need to begin with a space, right? And then you need to pay the timekeeper to be able to craft or to make your hourglass and to recharge it when it's empty. So when they make it, when the timekeeper makes your hourglass, then you will have some time, right, that it's going to be accounted for in that hourglass. And that's the time period where you are going to be able to find tokens and by playing the game, right? So that's your time frame whereby you can accumulate your in-game assets, as long as your hourglass has sand remaining. Once you earn those tokens, then you can use those tokens for numerous in-game utilities, right? So like I mentioned, some of these things can be, you can buy assets, you can buy the rare ones, you can use it to recharge your hourglass, you can use it to summon the timekeeper, or well, that could just well be your profits as well, right? Or you could reinvest it, I would think, to acquire another space, to expand your personal pocket metaverse, or your time machine for that matter. So the question that we are all gonna get here is that, but these don't make sense. Why do we need to pay first to start earning rewards, right? Why do you need to pay the timekeeper to pay an amount of money to start earning rewards? Because in most games, I guess, yes, you buy the tokens to stake so that you can get access to the game, right? And then as you play and as you clock up time, just like what Sam showed us last week with Dragon Card, whereby, yes, you do need to buy an NFT box, right? But you will get a character, you get a car, I think you get a weapon too, and then you are good to go, right? You can essentially play and earn the rewards as it is. But for this one, and it looks like the hourglass is going to run out, which means you have to keep paying the timekeeper for you to refill that hourglass so that you can earn rewards, right? And we are wondering why do you kind of need to do that? But this to me is actually one that, well, I would say it's quite an interesting way of doing things, right? Because as you can see in this tweet, and if I were to reference the discussion that I had with DeFi SG, or even when I was speaking about Treeverse as well, when I look at such play to earn games, the spending opportunities to keep the ecosystem sustainable and viable is extremely important. So what I mean is this, right? Yes, the project or the game might initially start with a set amount of tokens that is set aside for rewards to reward the gamer, right? But at some point in time, that pool is going to finish, and it will not be sustainable if the founders have to keep digging these rewards out of their own pockets to fill it up, right? So these rewards will have to come from somewhere, and these rewards are usually going to come from spending opportunities, which means when you earn your rewards and you want to improve your character or your standing in the game, the opportunity is there for you to spend these in-game tokens so that the founders or the creators of the games will then be able to take back those tokens that you have and to refill basically the rewards pool, so that this ecosystem of rewards becomes sustainable by itself and no one needs to fork out any more money to keep this rewards pool going. And that to me is very important, because if it's not sustainable, then at some point in time because it just doesn't make sense for them to continue to stay on and play this game, especially when it's going to become a very competitive space. So as this tweet states here, right, all the fees and charges are playing a very important role in tokenomics and the viability of the economy of the game. Because if everybody has the tokens with nothing to spend on, then yeah, this token firstly will also lose its value, right? Then no one will want to hold these tokens too, because then it means nothing, right? Like no one wants to hold a currency that is low in value, essentially. And the more ways to spend just increases that utility, and at the same time make sure that it's sustainable and viable from a rewards point of view, right? So I think there are some discussions here whereby there are some people who are obviously not very happy for the fact that they have to kind of like pay to start to earn their rewards with the timekeepers. But yeah, I think if you understand the reason why some of these things needs to be done, then you would understand why. Okay, so these are the two economies within the game that I think we need to understand. The space economy, whereby we just need to make sure we know how it works so that we can plan for what we want to buy, balancing that out with the amount of capital that we kind of want to spend within the game. And of course, we also need to know the game economy, right? Like I showed you earlier on in this nice image that they have made. How it basically goes about to earn your in-game tokens. Okay, so that's basically kind of the few things that I wanted to share with you guys, but I think that's about it for now because basically, right, this is what is available in the game at this point in time. I think the first sale that went on was the VIP passes, and then the next thing that went on was the space sale, and I think there's going to be some other sales that may just well be up and coming as they slowly develop the game. I think the early beta of the game is going to be out early next year in 2022. And if we can get early access, that will definitely be cool. We definitely do have plans as well to do some of this streaming for you guys so that you know how these games look like. But yeah, I think I know there are a couple of questions in the chat, but I'll just sum it all up before I get there. And I think the key takeaway here, well, if you're not yet an investor in big time, is one, I hope I shared an understanding of what big time is, right? Essentially, what kind of a game it is. And like I said, a couple of things that really stood out for me here is that it's a role-playing game, yes, but I think the theme of it being like a historical game, like a history-spanning adventure, makes it quite a unique theme that may attract quite a lot of people. And if you also look at some of the images that I showed you guys earlier on, like this, right, you can see some of the graphics, and I think one of the points that I spoke about as well is how does the gameplay look? How does the characters look? It's an indication again to how much is being invested in the game. And I guess we all have to agree that the way that it's been set up is great, right? So because of that theme, because of the way that it looks, and also because of just the game being dubbed as the crypto's World of Warcraft, I think that's something huge for us to be able to look at, right? And then the big part of this whole game, again, is the collectability of NFTs, right? Like I mentioned, I think this is the thing that really set it apart from most games. I mean, most of these games are going to have NFTs that allow you to own them. But like I said, right, the focus in this game is definitely this, right? Whereby it has stated that Big Time is not just a role-playing game, but Big Time is a role-playing game that combines fast action combat and also the collectability of NFT. So you can imagine with this as a focus, there's going to be a lot of things in future, like the weapons, the clothes, and I think that's also where the ability to upgrade NFTs with the forgers stem from, right? They want to make sure that this NFTs part and being able to own it is going to be a huge part in the game, and that for me kind of sets it apart at this point in time, right? We also spoke about the founders. I think the founders, we have spoken about it before, but I think the only thing that I missed out earlier on is some of the other people who have invested into the game, right? Like for Treeverse, we know that they had Animoca brands, but it's the same for Big Time here, right? They have the Digital Currency Group, which is essentially the owner of CoinDesk. There's Sam Bankman-Fried that we know is also huge, and a couple of celebrities, right? So again, it's a very well-backed project, and they have the resources as well as the knowledge with the team that they have to ensure that this game is going to be made a success. We also discussed the components of the games, things like the timelines, the weapons, what a time machine is, space, what timekeepers are, and what forgers are. And basically the two game economies, like space economy and the game economy, right? So I think we're still very early in this. Like I said, game is not live yet. Yes, we have probably passed on a couple of sales, but this is definitely something that you want to keep your eyes on for future investments. And also perhaps for those who are gamers, this is definitely a game that I'll be looking to play along with Treeverse. Yeah. So if there are any other questions, just do let me know. If not, I'm going to start and I'm going to take some questions here. I think so Gobin asked, can you combine a few rare small spaces? Yes, you can. So like I mentioned, right? Gobin, I don't know how many you have, but you definitely sound like you have a lot of them. But so if you have a few rare spaces, actually that might have been a good strategy to go about doing things, right? Because I think a lot of people were going for as with most NFTs, people were going for the expensive and the rare ones, right? Like in the exalted or the mythic or even the legendary range, because they thought that it was going to earn more, it's of a higher value, for example. But if you're just talking about utility of it, then I think Gobin, that's actually a very smart strategy, basically, because I think the rare small was quite easy to get to. Don't think there were many people fighting for this. And yes, you can combine a few rare spaces, so you're not going to be able to merge them, which means let's say you have two, right? You're not going to be able to merge them in a sense whereby you are going to have one rare something that has 4 slots. No, but you'll be able to combine them, which just means that at the end of the day, your virtual land is just going to have maybe a rare small, but you will have another rare small. And what's most important here, as we agreed upon, is the number of space sockets that you have for utility, right? So if you have 5 rare, then you will have 5 small rares, which will be combined, and that will still give you 10 space sockets, right? And the other way around it, like you could also have 10 space sockets if let's say you have 1 large epic and 1 medium epic, then that would have been 6 space sockets for the large and 4 for the medium, and you could combine that, meaning to say you will have 2 lands, and that would still give you 10 space sockets, right? So so I think that should answer your question. And Yoe was asking, if we can't get, say, a large rare, which is 5 slots, does it resemble that we could get 1 small rare for Timekeeper and 1 medium rare, 3 slots for Forgers instead? Yes, so that's exactly what I said, right? So I think there's a little bit of game theory behind this, well, if you want to call it that, right? Basically how you want to go about it, based on what's available, your budget, and the number of slots that you require, right? But I guess the only thing that I'll add on here is just to the point that I earlier mentioned, in a sense, whereby yes, for now you only need 5 slots, right? But now the lands are just available, right? The spaces are just available. It's still early days, it's probably still cheap. If it comes to a point whereby they launch new utilities that's going to require more space sockets, then, and you only have 5, like to your point, your way, if you only have a large rare and a small rare, if you only have a small rare and a medium rare, that gives you 5 slots, then when the new utility comes out, people are going to be fighting for more space sockets, right? Because they are going to need it. So I think that's something to look out for. If it's a game that you are looking to stay in for long term, then I think we should be looking at giving yourself a little bit more room to breathe, just so that when the new utilities or the new features come out, you're going to have some space sockets to accommodate them. If not, you're going to get into a price war in the marketplace, right? Where everybody is going to be looking to upsize on their space just so that they can get more utilities in their own land. Can you pause the Timekeeper so that sand does not continue to run out? I don't think there are any details to that at this point in time. I don't know how long an hourglass lasts. But I understand why you're asking that, because if it lasts for 24 hours, but obviously you're not going to be playing for 24 hours, right? But does it pause when you're out of the game, or does it not, right? I'm not entirely sure, and I don't think the details are out yet, but I think they just introduced the concept to that. Basically, they are introducing the concept whereby you will need a timekeeper in your space, so that you can get the timekeeper to craft or to refill an hourglass, so that you have that period of time to earn the in-game tokens. If not, there's no other ways of you earning the in-game tokens. So yeah, but that's a good question. I mean, I'll be curious to know that as well, just so that you know how to maximize your time in the hourglass, right? So yeah, that makes sense. Are there any other questions out here? Is this something you guys are basically excited about? I mean, big time has always been something that many people have been discussing about. What are some of the other play to earn games you guys are looking out for? Like Wonder Hero. I think Realm is also quite big. Big time is definitely the minimum requirement to start playing the game. I think at this point in time, they haven't really made that clear. I have a feeling, or it appears for now, that to be able to play the game, it might be free. It's going to be kind of a little bit like Treeverse, whereby it's free, whereby you can start to play it, right? But like I said, you only get your time machine after you reach a certain level, which means you probably have to play enough to show some level of commitment to the game, and then you are going to get a time machine. But to make sense of it, I would say the minimum requirement to start playing the game is if you have a space with 2 space sockets, so that you can get a timekeeper. Because like I shared, right, there is no other way for you to earn the in-game tokens unless you have a timekeeper to create an hourglass, so that you have a time frame for you to earn the in-game tokens. And you cannot have a timekeeper if you don't have 2 space sockets, which then means that you need to have a space that has at least two space sockets. So you could well play the game without a space, but you're not going to be able to earn rewards, right? Then I would say that that should become a requirement for you to start playing the game. If not, there's no meaning for you to be playing the game, right? Basically. So so one, I think that's something for you to take note of. If you haven't got your space, the last I checked yesterday, I think there might be still some small rares available. I'm not entirely sure. It might have been sold out by now, but that's something for you to just have a look at. Yeah. Can we rent out the space for people to play? At this point in time, no. I don't think that has been made available yet. But what they have made it very clear is, just let me see if it's here. So what they have made it clear is that space is an NFT, therefore it is transferable and has a fixed supply, right? So like I said, this is not going to be growing, right? There is a fixed supply, which means at some point in time, if you are late to the game, then it's going to be very expensive, as with most play-to-earn games. Just have a look at XC, right? At this point in time, the tokens are expensive. You want to get in, it's expensive. So you want to be looking for games that are early, right? You want to be looking for the next XC, basically, that gives you the opportunity to make that kind of money. So this has a fixed supply, and as with everything, fixed supply equals to like when the demand goes up, then prices are just going to go mad, right? Basically, So it can be transferable, which means you can sell it at this point in time, but there's no word of it or being able to be rented out. So I know for Treeverse, I think later on or only recently, they added the opportunity for you to be able to rent out some of your FPPs for seed, right? Which is the in-game token. But it does appear for big time, I don't think they're going to allow you to rent it, but I think they're going to allow you to sell it, or I think they want to encourage people to sell it, because this could well be another spending opportunity for the tokens. Like in time to come, when their tokens go live, yeah, like you can earn it, right? You can earn it from the game, but I think in time you can also use the in-game token to buy more space. And when that becomes a spending opportunity, it gives the tokens more value, and at the same time, that's gonna make the whole ecosystem more valuable and more sustainable. So the short answer is to be global is no. I don't think you're gonna be able to rent out, at least for now. In future, unless they change it, then there might be a possibility. But for a game like Big Time, I personally don't see that coming unless they change it. But that's just my own speculation. Yeah, so Your Way has very nicely shared that the medium rare is still available. Wow, so that's great. So the medium rare would give you 3, right? Is that the only one available, Your Way? I would say for a start, maybe try and go for 5. If not, yeah, because 3 is kind of a bit of a strange number, I guess. I'm not sure. Like you can get the forgers or you can get the timekeepers, but well, if it were me and I had to prioritize, I'll probably be going for 2 first, right? Because I know the timekeeper at this point in time is more important, because when the game goes live, basically you're gonna need 2 space sockets for you to be able to um, earn your tokens through the hourglass. Yeah. So 1 Suhaimi, 1 I need to buy at least 1 or 2 small rare spaces. Yeah. So like I just said, right, I think at this point in time, the more important one would probably be the timekeeper. I'm sure the forgers will come in useful as well, especially when some of the other NFTs become available. But if you want to start playing your game, right, to your question, what is the minimum requirement to start playing the game, I would think you would want to at least set yourself up to have enough slots for the timekeeper. Yeah. Yowe also says epic rare small. So epic rare small. Oh yeah. So you might be able to buy 1 rare small, 1 epic small. That's 5. Yeah, and then the rest are sold out, right? So I think this kind of goes back to the point that I was speaking about with about Gobin's plan, right? It appears like he has gone for quite a few small rares, and he got it quite easily. But at the end of the day, these things are still going to have a lot of utility, right? So yeah, if you are looking for space sockets just so that you can play the game, then you should go for it. Yeah, I mean, you want to buy it from the open market, that's also available, right? But if you're looking to play the game, then it doesn't really matter, right? Like what's most important for you at this point in time is probably because you need the space sockets to be able to kind of play the game. And from an investment point of view, as these supplies become scarce, I would say then even your rare smalls is going to go up in value. It's just like any floor price, right? Yes, obviously the rare ones are going to go up at a very, very high price, but when that happens, the floor is generally just going to rise, right? So if even your rare small is going to increase in price, basically. So from an investment standpoint, that works too. And meanwhile, you still are able to buy it at retail price for you to be able to use it in your game. right? But apart from that, yeah, your way also says you can buy it from open market if you have the budget, but yeah, I think that is going to be quite expensive. Yeah. We all know the big time tends to go up really very expensive with the VIP passes as well. And if you still have, so like I said, from an investment point of view, again, well, you could buy it from the open market if it's within your own personal budget, or if you want to go the other route, like I said, and just buy the retail price because the floor is going to rise in any case. Then yeah, then I would say just go for it, but not financial advice, okay? Just what I think makes sense. Okay. So what do you buy, Yoey? Did you buy anything? Not sure if you have bought anything yet. Yeah. If not, are there any other questions? Any other questions? If not, I think yeah, we're just about an hour in. And just let me know if these kind of reviews work for you guys, or did you guys already kind of know what big time is? Because for me, you're still on the fence. Um, well, I would say it's really not too much of an investment, right? Have I bought any? Yes, I have. Bought one. That's personally for me. But then again, what are you on the fence about, Yoey? That's my question. Because again, like I said, I think the rare small, the epic small is not that expensive, right? To be honest, and I think it's yeah, it is quite a good project on this one. For big time, so it's definitely something you should look into. Or are you looking at other investments? That's the question. But I know for you, one, you should definitely look to get some. You're probably like a whale, right? And big time is something you should definitely look at. Right? Any other questions or comment? Oh, so did my research cover it all, Yoey? Regarding big time? If you have anything important that you think I've missed out, just let us know. Yeah. But I think at this time, there isn't much on the gameplay yet, as far as I understand. Unlike Treeverse, there was a little bit more with Treeverse because I think they are probably a little bit more down the line, or they decided to start that first. In that sense, yeah. But like I said, right, from some of the photos that we have seen, some of the graphics that we have seen, it's basically quite clear that it should be quite great as well. Oh, actually, speaking about some of the gameplays, yeah, I think we might have some photos here. Yeah. So it definitely looks very, very similar to what World of Warcraft is, right? And that to me was really quite exciting. Because again, like I said, I'm quite a big World of Warcraft fan, and the way it's set up, the gameplay, the way it looks, yeah, it basically looks very much like it, right? Just the way it's set up, or even like Diablo, maybe for those of you who are more familiar there. Yeah, so these are a couple of the photos from the gameplay, right? And it definitely looks quite good. So um, yeah, I hope that helps you a little bit your way about your decision. Do let us know in the Discord server if you eventually got in. Very interesting to know. The more like-minded people or the more people who are in the same investments just makes it more exciting in that sense. Yeah. Um, yeah. If not, I think that's basically what I have to cover for today. Last call for questions, guys. And meanwhile, yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, guys, please just hit the like button. There's definitely more than 6 people who are watching, so please give us a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. We will definitely need your support in that sense. So you are already here, please just hit that subscribe button and join us in the Discord server. Yeah. The links are in the description below, so you can join us in our Telegram or our Discord server right there. Okay, if not, thanks guys, and Sam will see you next week. I think she'll be covering something on Play to Earn, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and we'll catch you soon. Yeah, and Merry Christmas, guys.